I'm having to temper myself for this video. I am getting sick and tired of this world. I'm sick and tired of people in general, to be totally honest. Human rights. Every single human has a fundamental right to be free. I'm sick and tired of people looking down at others. And the thing is, what people don't realize is how they treat other people is exactly what they fight against in the way that they're treated. So there's a lot of people that despise others who have privilege and wealth. So they look down at them, like they're not in touch with reality. So they find themselves lower than that in class, but elevated above those maybe in poverty or come from a country who um, don't have as much opportunity. So people flee their country trying to live a better life. So they try their best. They go to another country. They're It's the same people that don't like wealthy people who then look down at those who are trying to do well for themselves. They're in the middle. Don't like them, don't think they're good enough. It's unreal. Like the way people treat people, it's unless you're literally living the exact life they're living, they're not tolerant of anyone. I'm watching, like, I'm like in shock at it, to be honest. I'm watching the situation where Mexicans are being deported. I think there's other nations as well from America. And I was just going through the little comments there because you just know you're going to get some vile human beings, and they don't even realize they're vile. That's the part that really I find absolutely shocking. And I know I'll go to comment, and I'm thinking I'm going to put them in their place, and it's like, well, I know it's not worth it because the comments are full of them. They're so self entitled, it's unreal. I think the real problem is a lot of people lack empathy. So they have no compassion for other people. The biggest part is they don't even take a moment to place themselves in someone else's shoes. Why? Why? Why don't they do it? Because they feel sorry for themselves in their own life. That's what it comes down to. It's so like people are so pathetic that they then feel judgmental of other people rather than take ownership of their own life. Okay, life isn't easy. I don't think it's easy in whatever nation you live. I think that's the thing as well. Like people, they tend to say, "Oh, this country's bad. I'm going there," and it's like, "Where are you going?" And you can pick out a handful of problems in that country. And a lot of the time, when someone wants to relocate to another country, they're not always accepted. For instance, it goes round in circles here. The whole world goes round in circles. There's people that have left America. Literally, Americans have left America, and I'm seeing some content here where they've moved to Mexico themselves. An American has relocated to Mexico, and some people accept them. Other people in this comment section I saw were saying like they don't like Americans. You're not welcome here. Is that not familiar? And again, this is what the problem is. People, they walk around with this self-importance, this position of grandeur, where they think they're better than everyone else. That's what it comes down to. So, let's say they're not accepting of other people that are going through situations and they want something better and they just want a different life. But yet, when it's their turn to do something similar, they feel the door should just open and everybody should be accepting of them. So you could have someone in the UK, for instance, say, I'm going to relocate to Spain. It wasn't that long ago, and I think it's quite recent, where a lot of the Spanish were in uproar. They're fed up with expats. They're fed up with people coming in and changing their culture, taking their homes. So the housing, all the prices go up. It makes it unaffordable for locals to live there. I get it. I get it. But the reality is, if everybody was just a bit more free, people would be nomadic, I think. And I think people would test other countries. So there would be room. You'd test here, you'd go there, you go there. Why can't we do that? Why has the world got to be such a freaking locked box? And I see it all. And I just recognize that a lot of people, they don't. They're so narrow minded. And I'm a very open minded person. So when I see a very narrow minded opinion, I look and just think, oh my God, how many generations of thick have you got to go through before you even freaking get to the point where you can see that you're trapped? It's unreal. Just because you're born in the UK, I'm going to use the UK as an example. You're born in the UK, you're immediately afforded a certain level of privilege. Okay, you might say the wages are stifled in this country. It's very hard to really be wealthy, blah, 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 blah. Okay, move your little pin and put yourself in America. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You've got to go through visa applications. You've got to be transparent. You can't go on a tourist visa and expect to work because then you're in breach of the visa, which would then get you deported. And then that could actually get you banned from entering again for, I think, like 10 years or something. So you can't do things underhanded because you will get deported. Ah. So you're free in your country, but as soon as you try to go somewhere else, now there's rules. So you're not as free as you think you are. Also, when we look at other countries, there's different rules in different countries. Yes, America has the potential to earn a lot more money. Their cost of living's higher though, but also they don't actually have a lot of things that are human rights issues are in that country. For instance, healthcare is unaffordable, very unaffordable healthcare. But one of the biggest problems is they don't even have holiday pay. They don't even guaranteed holiday. The only time they get off is their weekends if they work Monday to Friday. Like in the UK and Europe, we get plenty of time off. We get like a month off. So once you're employed, you get a month off a year of holiday, and you can take it whenever you want. You can take a day here, a day there, 2 days there, 5 days there. And you get bank holidays. Sometimes you can buy extra holidays. I think you can buy up to 5 holidays depending on the country. So you can use your own wages to get extra time off. And time off is really important for our well-being and things and self-care. You don't always have those human rights in other countries. But it just staggers me. Just because you're born in a country, you feel so self-entitled, like nobody else should have these freedoms. That's the part where I just can't get my head around. I can understand someone, for instance, from a poor country, let's say someone from Africa, and they've got no opportunity, and they see a better life from somewhere else. Why deny them the hope and potential for change? Like, I'm sorry, the world is corrupt anyway. All it does is plays into people's hands. If you look, from what I understand, especially America is like it controls an awful lot of the world. They have so much influence, it's ridiculous. It's like I saw something recently. If we put it into perspective, and I thought that's interesting. It said America is in an awful lot of debt, but they print their own money, so they just keep printing dollars, so they can get themselves out of that debt because they can print. Yet African nations, for instance, they're in debt to many nations. Let's say they're in debt to America. They can't print money to cover the debt, so they have to try to repay this debt. So they're at the mercy of America. So the countries have the power really to improve the infrastructure of Africa, but really they keep it all, for some reason, keep Africa suppressed, and I don't know why. I don't know why, but I've said this before, that I think if you was to help improve the planet, I think if there was huge investment in Africa, the whole planet improves. I personally think it's always at your weakest link. Why do they keep Africa suppressed? I don't know. Maybe they could become powerhouse. Maybe they have minerals and all sorts of things in Africa, and they could produce food. It's probably a place that could really thrive, so they keep them small on purpose. But my biggest gripe is the fact that people look down at others for no other reason than to elevate their own lives. So let's go through this video and just have a little look, because I'm like, I can't keep talking on it. People need to have their own freaking awareness to it and stop acting like you're better. Like, I'm come from the UK, but I don't look at people trying to improve their lives as less than. I can understand if I was in their position, I would do the exact same bloody thing. Sometimes we're born into places that we're going to outlive, and we're going to relocate, and we're going to take new opportunities, and we're going to want new experiences. Is it right that you should just be bound by where you live? And that's well, think about it. You're born. Let's say, like back in the medieval times, England, for instance, you've got these high taxes. You don't really have freedom. It's brutal. And yet, the moment you're born, you're bound to the kingdom's rules. I mean, you'd say medieval, you got it around the world anyway. But it's like, when you're born, you didn't agree to this shit. But it's like, because you're born there, you have to agree to it. And then you got people like, let's say you got issues. Like, I think in certain countries you can't be gay, and it's literally against the law. And there's serious issues around that. But why should a country or a rule decide like what's okay for you and what's not? Again, we're free people. You should be able to do what the hell you want. It's just ridiculous. So some people do have to leave their country for their own safety. I just wish people would just look at everybody as humans and stop thinking of them like in tiers. It's crazy. It's like too many. Like, I'm not. I don't look down at people that are wealthy. I know they've worked hard for their wealth, but sometimes you get leaders who are just well. You got Musk and look at Trump at the moment. I don't think for a moment they actually understand what it's like to be poor, but yet they try to act like they're speaking for the poor. And it's like, you are not speaking for the poor. You don't even know what it's like to be poor. Your level of poor is completely different level to what actual poverty is. So you don't know what it's like. So you don't really care. Rich just want to be rich for the most part. They're not all, because there are some people that freaking are humanitarians. I just don't think I'm ever going to get 100% through to people. I think that's quite scary. I've got books I'm intending to write that I've developed. And I do know that I think there's going to have to be a huge section just really, really drilling this shit into people that really needs to be spoken about, because people need to get it in their head, and I need to find the best way to articulate that, because I actually get really, really bothered by it. And I'm not sure when I'm talking like I am now that I'm able to control my frustration enough to present it in the way that I would want it presented. So maybe in the book is the way I'll articulate it better, because I'm really getting fed up with people in general. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Like, I can't. It's like my mind boggles. You've got someone that lives a certain way at home. I've just said it already, but it's just crazy. I see people all the time in comment sections going, "I hate rich people." It's like, okay, so you don't like people that are trying to improve their life beyond their circumstance to live in a better quality of life. You don't like that. Now, I understand if they don't help people and they're selfish, but it's someone's prerogative. I don't see the point of just acquiring, but to each their own. But you see, I hate rich people. What do you think of people? What do you think of people that come from countries and they're not from your country, but they're just trying to improve their life? What do you think of them? Oh, I hate them too. It's like, who do you like? Because I've got a funny feeling you don't like anyone. If you don't trust anyone, you don't like anyone. And a lot of the time, I spoke about this before as well. You start trying to achieve your goals, people act like they're supporting you until you outgrow them. And now all of a sudden they don't like you because you're trying to be too good, or no, put it down and things. People are never comfortable with success. They don't like other people being successful. They don't like, and they really don't like people intruding in their space, because people want to act like the victim their whole life. That's where it comes down to. But it bites them in the arse anyway. So, if you're anti-immigration, you're anti-people, having free passage, then it's going to bite you in the arse when you want that same privilege as well, though, isn't it? So I think the UK have found that out, for instance, by leaving the EU. It's like now you're just bound to the UK. You're going to have to go through an awful lot of visa processes to have free passage. Whereas the people that are part of EU, they can freely roam between each nation and they're fine. UK don't have that now. I think that's where people get. Just while we do geography for a moment, I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between EU and European and being European. Europe is a continent. EU is the democracy, really. So like the EU is the conglomerate where UK left, so they're not part of that anymore. So UK is independent of the EU's rules, governance. So EU is a governance of many nations that are part of the European Union, but Europe is the continent. So anyway, I think that's where some people get confused. They go, "We're not part of Europe." It's like, yes, we're always going to be part of Europe. It's a continent, you dipshit. But again, this is the lack of intelligence in some people. It drives me nuts, because they're the same people that have no awareness of other people. Now, look at this shit. Now, bear in mind what I'm saying. And now you've got people being deported from America, and they're literally, why have you got to chain them and handcuff them like they're prisoners? This is outrageous to me. And they're put on a military plane. It looks like something from Con Air. Oh, you can't see it. Wait a minute. But yeah, it looks like something from Con Air to me, like the movie Con Air. Crazy. I don't know if it showed it. I did see it on a plane. Yeah, they're all sitting on the seats. And they all got families. I saw someone say something recently, and they said, "I hope they do get separated from their families and that, blah, blah, blah." And I'm thinking, you're just an absolute cruel human being. You're not even human at that point. You're feral. I try to switch off a little bit because I think people are absolutely disgusting. Let's see the comments, see if it got any better when I looked at it. Someone said, "Outrageous way to treat another human being." Exactly. These are just regular humans aiming to have a better, safer life for themselves and their family. They're treating them like monsters. It's not right. This is horrific. This is the one that got to me, and this is what made me go, "Freaking piece of shit." You know, I struggle to contain myself. This arsehole of a human being has said, "Why is this not happening in the UK?" I just thought, "Ugh, there's no helping them, is there? They're so up their own arse of this privilege. It's crazy to me. It really is crazy. I just don't understand how you had to educate a thick shit. That's the part I really can't comprehend it. You're born, so your parent gives birth to you, your mother gives birth to you, and depends on what part of the planet they are, depends on the privilege extended to you. So you're born, whatever the color, whatever the race. I think, to be honest, it makes no difference. You are a child being born into this earth. And I just think it's absolutely crazy that depending on whereabouts on the planet you was born, depends the privilege you have and how people will treat you. And of course, the color of your skin too. But that usually does affect it with the region you was born to. And of course, then you've got religions and things forced upon you. There's obviously these doctrines. It's just wild. It's wild, you know. Like, you're born. Let's say you're born in a country, your ideals don't match where you're raised. You've got people that are certain religions. You don't believe in that religion. You don't believe in this, and then people will say, "Well, tough shit." And it's like, oh, so it's just pot luck. So unfortunately, you got it was the luck of the draw. You was born in that country. I was born in this country. Because it doesn't affect me, and I don't have to put up with that, I couldn't care less. And this is the thing with people. I just don't understand how someone can have such a dim view of other humans. Like, I don't understand it. And it's like, they feel sorry for themselves about their life. Yet your life led from your choices. You was given privilege your whole life. It's the same thing. It's like, maybe one of the only ways we're really going to get through to this, let's say you're born to an abusive family. This is probably the only way we're ever going to get sense into a thick shit. You're born into an abusive family. They're incredibly religious, but they act like they're religious. But when they're at home, they're abusive, and it's all for show. The religion's all for show because a lot of people hide behind it. Now, you get to the age of 18, you say, like, I'm getting away from these people. I'm never going back. And you can go and make a new life for yourself. But the way people are treating people in terms of saying you're a different level of human, you shouldn't be able to do this, you should be able to do that. That's the same as saying, that is exactly the same as saying that you should never be able to leave your family. So if you was born into an abusive family and it's toxic, and you know you need to get away from there, it's not healthy for you, and it's not a life at all. You're a prisoner. The way people are treating other people of the countries is the same way as saying you have to stay with your family. You can never leave them. Whatever family you're born into, you stay with. If you don't think that's right, then open your eyes and look around the world and say, the way you're treating people, whether they're strangers or not, says an awful lot about you as a human being. And unfortunately, a lot of human beings are just shithouses. And this woman here who says, why is this not happening in the UK, is a shithouse. Yeah, like, other people are finally getting their heads out their asses. Someone said, this isn't normal, this is dystopian. Exactly what I'm saying. Why they're in chains. This is wild. Like, treated like war criminal. Okay, so some people are actually getting it, and I like that. A lot of the UK people seem to be thick as shit too. Look, why isn't the UK doing this? Let's go through some of the comments chained to this, because this woman here, that Louise one, whoever the hell she is, might tag that decrepit human being. Because the UK government clearly doesn't know human rights, have some decency. Clearly no human rights decency. Too soft. Illegal immigrants, they know this. They've broken the law. I just get fed up with people, man. I can't even communicate with a lot of these retards. And I know it's not a nice word to say. I'm fed up. I'm fed up with the world, you know. It's like, I struggle in conversations with people nowadays. Like, I can't even lower myself. It's too much. You could be in a room and people just talk absolute shit. And they think they know everything, you know. They think, you know what, this is right, this is right. It's like, it's not right, is it? But just some people just refuse to be educated. And again, you know, you're born to privilege. Some people let it get to their head. These are the same sort of people, though. If you gave them an immense amount of wealth and they complain to other people who don't support others when they're wealthy, you know full well they would never help anyone. They've already shown it there. They've shown it when they haven't got wealth, that they despise other people. I'm just hoping people open their eyes themselves and just start correlating things a bit more. You know, it's like I said there, where you're born into a family, you outgrow them because they're toxic for you. So you find a new community. It's the same thing. I also just don't think there should be borders anyway. Like, for instance, if you want to see landmarks in the world and you can't travel for some reason, you're not allowed to enter. Why can't you see all the beautiful landmarks in the world when you have this human experience? Why is it this border says no, this border says no, this border says no, and now your experience on Earth is limited just because there's different kingdoms exist? I believe in freedom. I can't keep talking about this though because it drives me absolutely mental. How narrow-minded people are. You know, I find it's quite a sick world we live in. Um, and these people who spout the negativity, they're just as culpable. And a lot of this is UK people. They're just racist as shit. Now I get it. There's communities that haven't integrated. You know, and I've seen it around the UK. You do see pockets of it. But it's really from that lack of integration in the first place. You know, if you welcome your neighbour and you can create friendships and things, and different cultures can exist. But when you keep alienating people and treating them like so disrespectful, then other communities they attach, and you create pockets, and it creates factions, of course. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of UK people now saying the same shit. They're just racist fucks, you know, let's be honest. They broke the law. There are consequences. Oh, shut up with your law. You go, you know what I mean? Exactly. Someone's put, yes, the law was broken, but this is pretty inhumane. How would you feel if it's you? Imagine if you had loved ones. I'm sick of it. I really am. I just don't think some people can be educated. You know, they just think they're right about everything, and their intelligence is just too low to educate them, unfortunately. And they could never, ever, ever, ever think about someone else and the plights they're in. And even if it's not even a plight, I just think we should have freedom of movement anyway. You know, I think, like I said, restricted of movement, it just bothers me all the time. Someone made a comment. There was a video I saw a while ago, or recently, and it was about these Americans, because these Americans had banners, and they're going, yeah, you know, where they want everyone deported. This is interesting. You don't have to be religious to think this. It's like, open your mind a little bit. And they said to these people, if Jesus came back now, would you allow him to enter the United States? And they said, if he does it the legal way, all right. So the Son of God was here to heal the world, have a huge positive impact. He's not free to enter unless it goes through the visa process. I mean, it just showed everything there and then, you know, how corrupt this world is, and how people are actually sheep. People are sheep. They copy each other. They listen to each other. It's herd mentality. You know, people shout racism and they join in and they're all racists, and it's just crazy to me. But yeah, people need to start thinking for themselves, and I'm just getting fed up living in a world where it is like a dystopia. And communities only exist to the racists that bind together. You know, it's just crazy to me. Yeah, it's just a sad world we live in at the moment.